Welcome to PACTV Community News. I'm Elizabeth Shanahan-Jewett.
And I'm Julie Thompson. On tonight's show, we head to the Women's Health Symposium at the Indian Pond Country Club in Kingston to hear speakers that include former WCVB reporter Kelley Tuthill, who shares her personal journey as a breast cancer survivor.
We attend the autumn concert of the Golden Melodies Chorus at the Plymouth Center for Active Living and get a government update on Plymouth Town Meeting.
And we welcome Michele Pecoraro, the Executive Director of the Plymouth 400, on set to discuss the exciting events planned to commemorate Plymouth's 400th anniversary in 2020. But we start tonight's show in Pembroke. Some neighborhoods have a yearly block party, and some towns give themselves a whole day. PCN stopped in at Mattakesett Street Field to join the town of Pembroke in celebrating community.
Welcome to Pembroke Day this afternoon. Coming up at 4 o'clock, we'll be having our softball.
Pembroke Day is a family event. We put this on every year to celebrate, the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce, businesses and stuff like that. And then at culmination, we do the softball game between the Pembroke Chamber, Pembroke Police, and Pembroke Fire. This year, we were able to also engage a laser show. So we'll have a laser show at the end. So it's just a family fun event. It's awesome.
This actually started with a softball game between our emergency services, so police and fire versus the Chamber of Commerce. And since that, everything's kind of built out around the softball game. This is the fourth year. I think we're up 3-1. So I think the police and fire have beaten us once. But again, we're with the Chamber of Commerce. We pay to bring our ringers in, and we outsource from all over. Because it's a game, we keep score. But honestly, it's just to have fun. Again, to bring us all together. And then at the end of the day, we donate some money to the police and fire departments. And then we always pick another organization that we want to donate to as well. So last year it was the Firehouse Pantry. This year we're actually donating to the Pembroke Military Support Group.
One of the main reasons for me coming today was the fact that my son, who's on the Pembroke Police Department, is playing on the softball game that they've got going on. And I wanted to see him play since I haven't seen him play since he was around 8 years old. So I figured watching him today would be pretty interesting.
Some of them are rescues, some of them are purebreds, but the kids have all trained these dogs by themselves. So 4-H is a youth development organization, and part of my club, what we do is train dogs. But they also learn how to give a speech, they learn how to be leaders, they learn how to do community service, and they do about 100 and some odd hours of community service a year with this club.
Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital in Plymouth held a free women's health symposium at Indian Pond Country Club in Kingston, designed to provide information on healthy living, breast cancer awareness, and prevention. Former WCVB TV reporter Kelley Tuthill was among the speakers, sharing her journey of diagnosis and recovery. PCN was there to learn more.
The symposium today is something that we do every other year, and we take advantage of the month of October when the breast cancer is highlighted in the news. And we bring together women and experts in the community to talk about women's health, what new developments there are in the care of breast cancer, and what we can do to prepare ourselves and also to help us avoid the pitfalls in lifestyles that can lead us down the road of a cancer diagnosis. The speaker that we're having, we're very excited to have Kelley Tuthill, who is known to a lot of us through working for Channel 5, and she was brave enough to share her journey through the diagnosis of breast cancer. So we reached out to her and asked her if she would join our community tonight and share her story.
Well, I'm really looking forward to speaking here for Beth Israel Deaconess Plymouth. For me, it's all about spreading hope and letting folks know that a breast cancer diagnosis is not a death sentence, that there are really good treatments today and a lot of reasons to be hopeful. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 36. I had 2 small children at the time, 2.5 and 6 months old. I went through a lot of treatments, about a year of chemotherapy, a mastectomy, and radiation. but I can fortunately say that was 12 years ago. I'm a proud survivor and doing really well, very healthy, and I even had a third baby 9 years after my breast cancer diagnosis, and she's doing great.
Having a symposium like this benefits the community, which is our mission at the hospital, to make sure that we're not only caring for the folks that are walking through our doors, we're presenting a wellness opportunity for our community.
The one thing that I've learned through my own experience with breast cancer is that patients need to be informed and that the care needs to be centered around the patient. So knowledge is power. So the more power we can give women through information, through meeting the docs, hearing from patients, that means if God forbid they get a diagnosis, they're not going to be scared, they're going to know the right questions to ask and feel very empowered that they can navigate the system. Since my diagnosis in 2006, I've really tried to make it my life's mission to speak to other women, both publicly and privately, to offer them my experience, to make the road a little easier for the next patient diagnosed. I speak publicly about my story because I want people to have hope and to know you can get through treatment, that there are many reasons to be hopeful about long-term survival. And I think when we come together as a community, it's just so powerful because I'm just one of many people that will be in this room that have survived breast cancer, and that's good for everyone to see. One of the things that interests me the most and that I'd like to share with the crowd is to talk about resiliency. And in my 20 years as a news reporter, I saw so many people unexpectedly face very serious loss and tragedy. And the thing that kept me going, the thing that kept them going, was to tap into their resiliency. And I saw people take their darkest moments and lead into something incredible, a positive thing that they were able to contribute as a result of their tragedy. And so that's kind of my message to people, that you may be blindsided like I was with something you did not expect, but as Robin Roberts from ABC News likes to say, how can you make your mess your message? And that's what I've been trying to do for over a decade.
The Plymouth Fragment Society is the oldest continuous charitable organization in the United States. This year, the Golden Melodies Chorus performed an autumn concert to benefit the charity. PCN was at the Plymouth Center for Active Living to see the show.
My name is Dottie Belanger. I've been in Plymouth all my life, and I was a school teacher here. Well, during retirement, I started working with a group of people, and we were singing and doing area nursing homes and so forth. And that just kind of evolved. The Fragment Society contacted us to work with them and provide some entertainment for their 200th anniversary celebration that they had.
I'm Gail Mason. I'm president of the Plymouth Fragment Society.
And I'm Jane Montanari, vice president of the Plymouth Fragment Society. It was established in 1818.
Marie DeVerde Turner,
Okay.
a sea captain's wife, decided that with a loss in the community of some of the people out to sea, there were women who had no income, no clothing, and she gathered fragments and made clothing for them, which is why we ended up being called the Plymouth Fragment Society. When I first went on the board in '74, we did a lot of milk deliveries to the homes and that type of thing. Today, we help with rent, first deposits or last. We help with electric bills. We help with medical issues.
But we went from providing milk to 30-some odd families
Children, yep.
to now helping out in drug rehab. So we have gone,
certainly evolved,
followed along as the needs of Plymouth grew. And the one thing about Dottie Belanger is when I asked if she knew anybody, she said, "What do you want, an hour, a half hour, or what?" I said, "You are saying yes." Yes. That was the most
It was
important.
wonderful.
And it was much appreciated.
Did you miss Plymouth Town Meeting? PCN put together a meeting summary to keep you informed about the issues that matter to you.
Article 4A to 4G, 4I to 4L. Mr. Caproni.
One of the big items at Plymouth Town Meeting held this October narrowly passed after 2 separate votes. Article 4H was a request from the fire department to replace a fire engine that had been in service since 1996. The article authorizes the town treasury to borrow $675,000 over a 10-year period to finance the purchase, with Fire Chief Ed Bradley noting new tariffs on steel and aluminum could add thousands to the cost of the engine if the purchase was delayed. The article initially missed its required 2/3 majority by a single vote, but an irregularity with the electronic voting system triggered a second round, which came out 79-37 in favor. Also on the agenda was a $1.2 million request from the town library to fund repairs to the roof and HVAC system at the South Street branch. While initial estimates put the cost of repairs at $1.9 million, contractor bids for the work came in far higher than expected, bringing the new cost to a total of $3.1 million. With unanimous approval of the Advisory and Finance Committee behind it, the article passed by a vote of 112 to 4. And the library wasn't the only building in town needing repairs. With a failing stone facade and windows in need of replacement, the 1898 Memorial Meeting House was the subject of an article to approve $2.6 million in town funds for renovations, which passed by a 90 to 27 vote. The amount was only part of an estimated $10 million to repair the building, with the balance being provided by the General Society of Mayflower Descendants, who were given ownership of the building by the First Parish Church earlier this year. That's all for this week's look at Plymouth Fall Town Meeting. For PACTV, I'm Keith Hughes.
We are so pleased to welcome on set today Michele Pecoraro, who is the Executive Director of the Plymouth 400. Welcome, Michele.
Thank you, Julie.
A lot of stuff is going on with the Plymouth 400.
There is a lot happening.
There is. Let's talk a little bit about the whole advent of the Plymouth 400. Really quickly, how did it come about and how long have you been doing this?
So I was hired in 2014,
Yep.
but Plymouth 400, the nonprofit, has been around since 2011. And prior to that, there was a lot of meetings around kitchen tables from 2004 on. So there's been a lot of planning, pre-planning for this for the last 10 or more years.
Right.
Yes.
Now, recently, the last week or so, you've been very busy.
Yes.
Between the America's Hometown Celebration Parade that you were at and also the Illuminate event that happened.
That's correct.
Talk about both of those events.
Yes, so in the parade, we work very closely with America's Hometown Thanksgiving celebration, and we have a float in the parade. We also had parade walkers this year, volunteers of ours that donated their time to the parade. And we work closely with them to promote the 400th anniversary, but also to promote the parade annually.
You had a beautiful float.
We had a lovely float. It's a countdown float.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which is really neat.
Yeah. And then we do our event, Illuminate Thanksgiving, which is all about giving thanks and giving back to your community, to your country, and to your world. And it's all based on the accomplishments of young people. And what they've done already in their lives to actually give thanks and give back.
Right.
And so we started with a lovely program at the Pilgrim Monument and Meeting House, the former First Parish Church. We actually did a procession of lights this year, where all the students from the Plymouth Public Schools in their art classes did these beautiful, huge lighted lanterns with a sea creature theme. So for the first time really in probably 100 years, Leiden Street was lit up and had the attention paid to it that it deserves, because Leiden Street is the site of the first colony. And so to have that procession of lights come down was just beautiful.
It was
just
all
beautiful.
down the street. You left the church, went down the street all the way to the waterfront with the lights and those beautiful creatures that were created that were really stunning.
They were stunning.
And then what happened at the waterfront?
And then at the waterfront we had more musical programming, music and dance, and all about, again, a good feeling for Thanksgiving. And we give our One Small Candle Award to our award winner, who was amazing this year, and as they all have been.
And we'll do a special on that too.
Great.
Yeah, down the road. Excellent. Okay, now some of the many things that you do in your job is you deal with all the delegates from all over the world, basically? Okay.
Sure.
Now, this past October, you had a whole group of delegates that came to Plymouth.
Yes.
What was the objective of bringing them here?
Well, we had the Consular Corps from Boston, so that's all of the consulates that are in Boston.
Yep.
Their employees and the consulates came down.
Yep.
And the reason we invited them, well, was multiple reasons. One is to show the international flavor of this commemoration. To get them interested, as they're all here in Boston through 2020. Many of them
are actually living here.
Live here through 2020. And becoming, having them become involved in our multicultural festival, which I would love to have the consulates be a part of.
Okay.
And so we introduced that. We introduced the idea of having some tall ships from those countries come here.
Okay.
We introduced the idea of having celebrity from those countries come to be performers and speakers here. So
a lot of
there are
plans.
a lot of ways that they can become involved.
So we did a little drive-through with your consulates, and we have a video. We'd like to show it, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Sure.
Okay, let's watch.
Today, Plymouth 400 has invited the consulates, the consul generals from Boston, Massachusetts.
There's over 65 Massachusetts-based consulates and consul generals, and one of our jobs is to take them pretty much annually in October to a different part of the state. This year, with the Plymouth 400 coming up in 2020, we had an opportunity to bring them to Plymouth, show them Plymouth so that they'll be prepared to introduce and talk to their countrymen and tourism officials about what's going on in Plymouth in 2020.
We have about 20 countries represented here. They are the diplomats here in Boston, and they're here to experience Plymouth, to learn about the 400th anniversary, and to learn about this history and to want to come back.
Every step here in the town of Plymouth really is an opportunity to encounter the history that goes back, for Americans, by a good long measure, 400 years of history. Here in Plymouth, this was the site of the Wampanoag people who lived here for 10,000 years before the Pilgrims even thought of coming over on the Mayflower in 1620. So we have that deep history to tell here as well. So having members of the consular delegation here really encourage us to think about the broadest ways of understanding the story of this place and to connect people with this history in different ways.
You know, the British consulate loves the fact that Massachusetts is really getting involved in celebrating this. The UK is obviously really invested in Plymouth. This is obviously where the UK's story in the US began. It's where the US's story began. And we've really partnered with Plymouth 400 and other organizations throughout the Commonwealth to celebrate the commemoration coming up in 2020 of 400 years since the Mayflower voyage. There's actually a big commemoration happening in the UK mirroring the one in the US in Plymouth, England, and the 11 other communities in England that sent pilgrims across in the Mayflower. And that means we have to celebrate where they came from across the Atlantic. They have to celebrate where they landed here in Massachusetts. And we have to celebrate the things we've built together.
Certainly for me, and having a chance to come to visit Plymouth now a couple of times from my own heritage, to understand just the hardships that our ancestors faced, but the goals and the focus that they had to make a place where their lives would be better, I think speaks to all of us.
So it's a story that I think is one that is a global story in many ways, and we encourage those dignitaries and visitors and guests from all over the world to take a look at this American story and find ways to connect with it.
Oh, it's wishing the people of Plymouth and people of Massachusetts a great celebration of 400 years and a great 400 years more to come in the future too.
We're looking forward to having all of these consulates participate in our festivities in 2020 for Plymouth 400.
Well, that was fascinating.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Nice group.
Very nice group.
A lot of people.
Very interested in what we're doing.
Yes, clearly.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now, also, in November is Native American Heritage Month.
That's right.
So something happened at the State House. Talk a little about that, and then we're going to show a package that we did from there.
Yes, we have an exhibit that's been traveling since 2014 called Our Story, 400 Years of Wampanoag History, completely done by Native people, produced, all the creative, all of this research is all done by Native people, Wampanoag people, with no censorship.
At all.
And that's the first time ever. So, yes, so at the State House, we revealed our new panel of that exhibit, which is called Governance.
Okay.
So that's what you're going to see.
Oh, great. Okay, let's watch that one.
Our story is a traveling exhibit that began in 2014 with the telling of the story of 27 men who were captured from Wampanoag villages and taken to be sold into slavery in Europe. And that's a very dramatic story, and it was a dramatic way of leading into this exhibit. But each year, we grow the exhibit in November with new panels, new themes. And some of the themes are historic in nature, and some of the themes are contemporary, like the powwow theme, talking about how we still engage in our culture 400 years later. So there's a lot to the exhibit. It's wonderful that the exhibit can travel. We would love to have it get to more and more communities in and around Massachusetts and throughout New England. It's drawing international interest, as you can see here tonight. There are people from England that are here, very interested in us reproducing at least parts of this exhibit to bring over to England, where there's an absolute dearth of knowledge on this. And they're very excited about actually bringing the story to England, where people are really excited about learning it. There's a backstory to the Mayflower coming to this country. And it's really important that people understand what happened before the Mayflower arrived, and also to factor that into what happened after the Mayflower arrived and what colonization meant to the indigenous people of this region.
I've come over with some colleagues from England to your amazing State House in this amazing state, and we're here in Massachusetts because in 2020 it will be the 400th anniversary of Plymouth being created here in this country, and of course of the Mayflower sailing from the southwest of England, from the port of Plymouth, and we're really, really excited by that. We think there's an amazing set of links that we can build from people in this country back to people in England. So many great stories that we're going to tell, and we want to do that both in England but also to encourage it to happen here in the United States as well. One of the things we've announced at Arts Council England today is that we're investing around $1 million in a set of projects that will really bring Mayflower 400 and Plymouth 400 alive to people across England. And we're working with people from the Wampanoag tribe here to take them over to England to work on projects that will involve live musical theatre and also creating art projects as well. So there's some really, really exciting things that we're doing. I think it's really important that we share everybody's voice. So there's so many different versions of history that we can hear, and we want to make sure that everybody's history is being told. So, you know, through history, it's not just big groups of people. There are individuals who had their own personal stories. And I think what's exciting and interesting and fascinating about this exhibit is working with people from the Wampanoag tribe. We've been able to bring those stories out, and I think people will learn a lot. I think it's something that back home in England, not everybody knows that story, and one of the things I really want to make sure is that Wampanoag story is told to people in England so that they understand the full picture.
Again, that was a wonderfully, so many people don't know the whole Wampanoag story.
Right.
And it's a traveling exhibit that's going a lot of different places.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
So we were very lucky to be at the Big E this year, which is the Eastern States Exposition, which is the 5th largest fair in the country.
Oh, wow.
And 1.5 million people go through the fair each year. And so we were featured in the Massachusetts building this year for 17 days with this exhibit.
Wow.
And now we're at the State House. So if people want to see it, it is at the State House until the end of the month.
Okay.
And it's on the 4th floor, and it's beautifully displayed up there.
Right.
We're also going to be, another big event that we're doing is the Boston Flower Show in March of this year, of 2019, this coming year. And it will be there for 5 days for the week of the Boston Flower Show. So,
So
it
this
does get
exhibit
around.
travels, and it will continue to travel all through 2020.
Absolutely, yes.
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
it's been to libraries, schools, it's been all over.
Yeah, everywhere. So how do people find out more about Plymouth 400, all the events you do, how they can help, how they can get involved?
Sure. So our website is the best way. It's Plymouth, Plymouth,
Yep.
400 Inc. as in incorporated, .org. So
Okay.
it's Plymouth400Inc.org. And you can go there to find out how to volunteer, what the events and programs are for 2020, what's going on right now. We have community meetings that we're scheduling for the winter that we hold monthly so that people can find out what's going on with Plymouth 400. And we'll start to form some big, larger meetings for other purposes in the planning year 2019.
Right. So 2020 is the big.
Yes.
Is there a date in 2020 that's the big kickoff?
Yes, we have the opening ceremony in April 24th, 2020. That's here in Plymouth at Memorial Hall and in the surrounding area.
Okay. And why is April 24th? What is that, the date?
It happens to be Earth Day, but that's not why it was chosen.
Okay.
We really just wanted to have a full year of events and programs. And really, the important dates are all in the winter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, December 21st, we didn't think we'd get a lot of traction. So
Probably not.
So we thought, why not just spread this out across a year and have a steady flow of visitors to Massachusetts and to Plymouth, and that's what we're doing.
Lots of reasons to come to Plymouth, but all the things that the 400 are doing are really shining a light on the history of this beautiful town. Thank you so much. We will have you back again and again and again.
And I'm happy to come back.
And Michele Pecoraro, the Executive Director of the Plymouth 400. And if you'd like to see the show again, you can find PACTV Community News on YouTube and on our website. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook to get up-to-date info. As a special treat, please enjoy this montage of the beauty found in our town of Kingston from all of us at PACTV. Thank you for watching and have a great week.